Hi guys, it's Kyle from Regrettable Props, and we're going to be making the Berserker axe, at least one of them. Currently you see on screen I am cutting a piece of tubing. I use CPVC tubing, you could use PVC. It's about ½ inch in diameter, and I cut it to approximately 26 to 25 inches in length, and I'm using a heat gun to help shape the curvature of the axe handle because there is a bit of a bend to it. From there, I traced the axe template, which is going to be provided on Google Docs and 8.5 by 11. There's going to be a link in the description. I cut out 4 pieces, and you gotta make sure you flip at least one of them, that way the textured side is covered. Later, I tried using contact cement, which did not work for me, so I had to later use hot glue to connect all those pieces together. Currently, I am using a sanding drum to help bevel and shape the axe edge, as well as cutting off any excess pieces and try and make them as flush as possible because there's a bit of imperfection when stacking them from me. Then I rounded the corners on everything so it wasn't as sharp and try to blend that axe head to make it a little bit more natural. I used the edge of the sanding drum to cut in some more, or shape in some more battle damage into the foam, and then switch to a taper bit to also further add damage, and I used that same taper bit to burn slash sand a hole that was wide enough for the correct diameter of my tubing that I'm going to be using for the axe handle. And you can see currently that I put it all the way through because there's a slight little bit of fake wood from the handle that sticks out on top. Later, I'm just marking out roughly where I need things to be, and I put a buildup of craft foam at the base of the handle because there looks to be like there's extra wood at that base of the handle, and I'm wrapping this currently in 2mm foam, the entire thing. And here you just see me, I glued one side down and I'm slowly working my way around gluing the rest of it, and then just cutting off the excess because that way it's all connected. And I used hot glue for the rest of the build since I did not have much luck with contact cement. And you're going to be doing that from leaving. I'm going to have dimensions marked out in the description, but I'm just marking out the rest of the detail for this handle. I will be providing a reference image on screen that I use to help plan and build this. For the very bottom half of the handle, there's about some wood grain texture, so I'm just scoring it as many times as I can to later, once we use the heat gun, to help open up those seams to help it make it look more authentic, like an actual wood handle, when actually it's a piece of tubing covered with foam. And then once all that is done, I'm just going in bits random direction and such. I use hot glue to fill the ends of the tubing at the bottom and at the very top, and then here you can see after we've done all our scoring before the heat treatment what it looks like. Then I cut some 2mm. All this pink foam is 2mm craft foam. I cut some 2mm to 3mm wide strips of foam, and I wrapped it around the base and slightly up the handle because that's supposed to be the fake wood. Now for this section of the handle, there is a collar at the very top, and then there looks like to be some woven metal, and then there's some wood design that I used for the collar. I used 2mm craft foam to actually build that up. And then for this current design, for that just below the collar, I tried scoring the foam like such, going down a certain way and then moving along. If I scored too deep and some of the foam came up, I further went in later and just hot glued it. Later I found that didn't match the reference image as much as I liked, and I tried wrapping and weaving 2mm craft foam. I'll show you guys later. And then for the same technique, for the other wood pattern just below the collar in that section, I scored it about like 3 lines in one way and then went down from the top coming towards it, and you guys can just see better on screen if you're not able to follow what I am saying to you guys how that process went. Remember to continuously sharpen your craft blade or change the blade out. I went over this multiple times until I was getting the desired look that I was aiming for. Once again, I'll be providing a reference image for the handle and the rest of the axe head to show you what look I was trying to go for. Here you can see that extra detail I did below the collar bit, adding that woven craft foam. If you guys have a better way of doing it yourself, by all means go ahead. This is my attempt at trying to emulate that same texture. Here I am just using a blowtorch tipped lighter to heat seal the foam, as well as to help open all those seams up that we did for scoring. I did the same texture, or I did the same sealing method to the axe head as well as to the whole entire length of the shaft. I went a little bit too much on purpose for those areas that were wood texture to make it seem like they're a little bit burned, almost like wrapped leather. Later I used quick seal over every edge of the seam of the axe head. I did a few coats until I was happy to help make it seem flush, and then I coated the entire axe head and handle in a Modge Podge mixed with black paint. For the axe handle, for the wood section, I did a dry brushing of just brown, and then I mixed in some brown and yellow to get a different texture, and slowly went up, making it progressively lighter and lighter for that wood texture to get the look I was going for. Then I gave the entire axe head a dry brushing of black and silver mixed together. Then I made that same metallic color a little bit darker for the areas that had more indentations. Then I also dry brushed some silver on at the very end overall, but I put more silver on the edge of the axe blade to make it seem like it'd be more exposed from the continuous use of being swung. I tried making some rust texture and rust paint and dabbing that on in certain areas. If I added too much, I could kind of smear it together, or smear it to blend it out, because for all this painting, I am doing it without giving each coat a full chance to completely dry, because that way it gives me a little bit more freedom for fixing any errors. Now you can see currently on screen the final build. I painted that collar section a dark silver and then highlighted the two ends of it, and then that woven foam, 2mm craft foam, I painted it silver. For the leather that's supposed to be wrapped around the handle, I mixed a black and a white to get a dark gray, and later went over it with a slightly lighter gray to highlight the edges, dry brushing. I essentially dry brushed the entire axe handle. I also did that same technique for the axe head, but I also did some stippling to help kind of blend, since it seemed a little bit blotchy or patchy. Once you guys have all done that, I hot glued the axe head into the axe handle like you currently see, and there's a little bit of the tubing sticking out from the top like it matches on the reference images. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along. Once again, I'm only providing the axe head to the template because that's the only thing that you need really a template for, and I'll be providing in the description the materials used, the link, as well as the paints and the dimensions from the axe head down to the axe handle. That way you guys have the same dimension on what to do for each section, from the collar to that wrapped metal foam to the wood texture or the wood scoring, and then the axe handle. Anyways, this has been Kyle from Regrettable Props. I hope you guys have had a good day, and this is me signing off.